Congress passes the most sweeping civil rights bill ever to be written into the law, and thus reaffirms the conception of equality for all men that began with Lincoln and the Civil War 100 years ago.
Riding on the back of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act was signed into law by Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965 as part of his War on Poverty campaign. The law, commonly referred to as the ESEA, brought the Civil Rights Act into the classroom and emphasized equal access to education. It established high standards and accountability that aimed to shorten achievement gaps and allocated funds for low-income schools. It was the first substantial involvement of the federal government in local education. The original act consisted of 6 titles. Title I gave funding to schools and school districts that had higher numbers of low-income families. Title II provided funds for school libraries, textbooks, and other instructional materials. Title III, in the beginning, gave matching grants for supplementary education centers, and later would distribute grants for innovative education. Title IV was devoted to educational research and training. Title V allocated money to help strengthen reform at the state level. 1965, Title VI was for general funds, but in 1966 was changed to provide aid to handicapped students. Another early amendment was Title VII, added in 1967 to support bilingual education programs. Between 1967 and 1980, some other changes were made. Title I shifted away from the pull-out approach of working with disadvantaged students to adopt a school-wide approach. Title IX was added and prohibited the discrimination of students based on gender. In addition, the National Diffusion Network was established to incorporate the best education innovations from Title III. In 1981, it was the dawning of a new era. Reagan and his new federalism policies shifted the power back to the states. He renamed ESEA the Educational Consolidation and Improvement Act and cut funding of education to the tune of 15%, with plans for more cuts in the future. Many of these restructuring initiatives gave teachers more control over how they ran their classrooms. 1988 was the beginning of the move towards more student testing and accountability. We would continue along these lines up until the present. President Clinton, in 1994, called for states to develop standards and aligned tests for all students. And then came No Child Left Behind, a renaming of the ESEA by George W. Bush in 2002. It called for more testing and more accountability. Though rife with debate, No Child Left Behind improved test scores for some minority communities and saw an increase in classes taught by qualified teachers. However, there was significant focus on collecting and recording data that led to teachers being blamed for failing schools and subsequently schools lowering standards in order to succeed. In 2012, Obama awarded more flexibility to the states to implement No Child Left Behind, allowing waivers for states to develop their own federally approved plans to close the achievement gaps. The last 3 years has seen significant debate about the creation of a new ESEA. Congress is now in discussion over the terms of this new act to replace No Child Left Behind. Secretary of Education Arne Duncan describes the core beliefs to form a new SEA.
And I want to lay out for you a set of core beliefs that I think should form the foundation for a new ESEA. I believe every single child is entitled to an education that sets her up for success in careers, in college, in life. I believe education cannot and should not be boiled down just to reading and math. I believe the arts and history, foreign languages, physical education, financial literacy, after-school enrichment are as important as advanced math and science classes. Those are essentials, not luxuries. I believe all students must be held to high expectations for learning, no matter their zip code, race, ethnicity, disability, or whether they're still learning English. I believe that states should always choose those standards, as they always have, and that those standards should align clearly and honestly with what young people need to know for success in school, in college, and in life. In a globally competitive economy, that's an absolute necessity for our children to have a secure future. I believe that every single child deserves the opportunity for a strong start in life through high-quality preschool, and that expanding those opportunities must be a part of ESEA. I believe that every family and every community deserves to know that their schools are always making a priority of the progress of all children, including those from low-income areas, racial and ethnic minorities, those with disabilities, those learning English, and others who all too often historically have been marginalized and underserved and undereducated. I believe they deserve to know that if students in those groups actually fall behind, that schools will take action to improve. I believe that no student deserves to be cheated out of an education by being stuck in a school that fails too many of its students year after year after year. I believe that schools must be a pipeline to opportunity, not to prison. I believe that we should create new incentives to catalyze.
Changes are happening rapidly. Just last week, Obama announced a significant cutback to the amount of time that should be spent on testing, stating that just 2% of class time should be spent on preparing for and taking standardized tests. Congress is currently at work debating policy, and hopefully by next year, they will have finalized a reauthorization of the ESEA